born Peter Magnus Nelson on May 19th, 1835 in Småland, Sweden. Growing up, I heard much about America, and by the time before I turned 30, my wanderlust had set in and I was off for America. Landing in New York, followed the typical Swedish immigration of the time, went to Chicago, and moved west to western Illinois. It was easy to get work. It was easy to settle in. The Civil War was going on, and the able-bodied men were gone. So farmhands were hard to come by. I could get a job real easy. Moved in. By 1865, they had switched the conscription for the service from 3 years to 1 year, and then you could be out. So I volunteered for the 148th Illinois Infantry and was mustered in on February 9th of 1865. We had minimal training, we had no battle experience, so we were assigned simple guard duties. Our job was to guard the railroads. We guarded the railroad in east central Tennessee until the war was over. We had nobody killed in the sense of battle, but there were marauding guerrillas that came to take pot shots here, there, and we lost 3 of our regiment to battle death. We continued on. The war got over. With the war over, our duty was no longer needed. So we were mustered out 5 months early. Returned to our farms. My only problem is the veteran soldiers returned to their farms. And all of a sudden, there was no work. And I returned home to Sweden. A few years later, I met a lovely lady, Louisa, and we married in 1871. 2 years later, son Axel came along. 3 years later, we had a daughter, Josephina. And in 1884, we had a second daughter, Annie. Things were getting tough in Sweden. Droughts, farming wasn't what it was supposed to be because of the droughts. And I again said, let's set sail for America. We came to America, came to Chicago, but instead of heading west, I headed northwest, up to Scandia. I had an opportunity to buy the Priest House, and I took it. It was a big house, perfect for a large family. 1877, another daughter, Hannah, was born. 1879, a second son, Isaac, was born. As I had been a Civil War vet, I applied for a Civil War pension. I was denied. So settled in for the next 30 years of farming. Axel stayed on the farm, helped work the farm with me. Josephina got married, moved to Amory, Wisconsin. And Anna and Hannah stayed on the farm. Little Isaac, the typical youngest one, he's going to spread his wings, and he goes down to St. Paul and gets a job as a carpenter. He'd come up in the fall for the harvest, and he'd come up to help around the farm whenever he could, but he was out of the home by then. 1917, with the Great War going on in Europe, he was drafted. He applied for an exemption as the sole income of the family and was turned down. So in 1917, he shipped over to France with the American Expeditionary Force and worked in a munitions depot. War got over in 1918, Armistice Day. The only problem, Isaac was terribly sick. Disease had set in, and he passed. And he was buried in France. I understood war and sickness a little bit, having been in it myself. 70 of my unit, when I was in the Civil War, died of disease. So I understood it to a degree, but didn't fully. We wrote letters, many letters to the government to get him home. After many letters, after many months and years of waiting, we got word that he had been disinterred in France and was coming home. In Little Scandia, they had a full military funeral. This was huge in this territory. And Isaac was home. As my farming, I had retired from farming. The two older girls, Josephina and Hannah, were gone. And they had married and wed and moved out. Louisa and I moved to Amory, Wisconsin to live all our last years with Josephina. And oh, the fishtails, I can tell you about the last few years waiting for my Lord to call me home.